Hey friends, Dr. Christy here, and I have a couple tips for if you're someone who wakes up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep. So first of all, in my experience, that's oftentimes a blood sugar issue. Very frequently, it's a blood sugar issue. So either you're not eating enough protein or fat throughout the day to stabilize your blood sugar so that you don't have that wake up situation when you're going to sleep at night, or you're eating too late at night and you're eating something that is usually higher in sugar or refined carbohydrates so that it spikes your blood sugar and your insulin, and then you have a crash in the middle of the night. So then you end up waking up and not having an ability to fall back asleep until your blood sugar is stabilized. Either way, whatever the scenario is, blood sugar is highly, highly implicated when you're waking up in the middle of the night. So figure out what blood sugar management your system needs to stabilize. I'll often tell you sometimes you can keep a little handful of almonds on your nightstand, something with protein or fat that if you are awake, say 3 a.m. and you can't fall back asleep, it's a quick thing to do to stabilize your blood sugar so you can more easily fall back asleep. So that's number one. Most important to me is blood sugar. Number two, even if blood sugar is implicated and you're working on that, while that stabilizes, number two thing that you can do, especially if you wake up and your brain starts going. Mine actually did this last night. My brain was going at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, we'll get to number three in a second. But when my brain starts going, it's really hard to shut it off. And what ends up happening is that your brain won't let you fall back asleep if you have a running to-do list in your head, because your body and your brain knows that if you fall back asleep, all that running list of things that's in your head is gone. You're going to forget it by the morning. What's amazing at those first 10 minutes in the process of waking up, your brain becomes very placid and clear, and you're able to think of things you wouldn't normally think of during your normal waking hours. It's about the brain waves. And so if you're starting to think of things that you didn't think of during the day, your brain's not going to let you go back to sleep because you now have this information in your head and you have to act on it. But instead of acting at it at 4 a.m., write it down. Keep a pen and notepad by your nightstand so that when this thing comes up, you just write it down, dump it out of your head and onto paper, and then you can more easily fall back asleep because your brain then knows, I have this information somewhere else, so it's not going to be lost. So that's tip number two. And tip number three is, depending on what time it is and how much sleep you've gotten, sometimes it's easier to just wake up. This almost was my choice this morning when I woke up at 5 a.m. and sometimes my one day of the week to sleep in. I usually wake up between 5 and 6 a.m. on my own. So if it was any other day during the week, I would have gotten up. But today I decided I wanted to sleep in a bit more. But really, truthfully, if you've had over 6 to 7 hours of sleep and you're up at, say, 5 a.m., even though you don't have to wake up until 7, maybe it's just time for you to get up and your body clock recognizes that you've had enough sleep. Now, take this with a grain of salt. Everyone's body is different. Everyone needs different amounts of sleep for different situations, for their different times of life, different parts of your cycle. If you're a woman, there's so much that goes into sleep needs. Too much to include in this video. But if you're waking up in the middle of the night and it's late enough that you could theoretically just start your day, maybe just get up and start your day and see how you do. Maybe don't take a nap and then fall asleep later or earlier in the evening the following day, and see how this process goes. So those are my tips right now if you are someone who has trouble waking up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep. Number one is blood sugar. Figure out how to manage that. Number two, if you've got brain stuff going on, get up, write it down, brain dump it so that it's somewhere else and not in your head. And three is, maybe it's just time to get up and respect your body and figure some things like that out. I work with sleep a lot. If you have any questions or specific one-on-one issues that you'd like to address, go ahead and reach out to me or drop a comment below. Have a great day, guys.